And great to welcome to our Book Talk segment today, a best-selling author, and he's got a great new thrilling novel out called Gunmetal Gray, part of his Gray Man series, and we're joined today by Mark Greaney on the telephone. And Mark, good to talk with you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Doug.
Yeah, good to have a chance to chat with you for a couple of minutes. First of all, congratulations, not only on this series of books, but the previous ones where you've written some of the Tom Clancy books as well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I'm staying busy for sure.
Yeah, you're a prolific writer. You're always thinking of ideas, I imagine.
Yeah, I've got a lot of the big macro ideas. The tough part is coming up with the nitty gritty. So it keeps me busy.
Well, this is part of, as you said, the court gentry is your main character in this series, right? He's a CIA agent. I don't want to give too much away, but I guess he goes to China, and that's where all the fun begins, right?
Yeah, right. This is the sixth book in the series, although it is a standalone novel. You don't have to pick up any of the other ones. But he's a guy that had worked for the CIA in the past, and then he was burned by them and targeted for termination, and now he's back with them in a very prickly, uncomfortable relationship, and he's working as a contract agent on a mission in Hong Kong where he's trying to find a guy who's defected from the Chinese military. But he's up against 100 other groups that are also after the same guy.
Yeah, is that the Fitzroy character? He's being held hostage, right?
Fitzroy is the reason that he's in Hong Kong, because this guy's been kidnapped while he was trying to find the pawn in this whole thing, who's a Chinese cyber warfare guy named Fan Jiang. But Donald Fitzroy used to be the Gray Man's handler, and now he's become embroiled in this whole operation.
And when you write a book like a character, like you said, this is the sixth one, now you kind of came out of a little bit of your own experience too, right? Didn't you have a bit of experience in this?
Well, my background was in international relations and political science in college, and I didn't really do much with it for a long time. But
right.
Then I worked in international business and in the medical device field, so I did a lot of travel and a lot of things outside of the U.S., but through that all, I was just a big novel reader, big spy novel fan, and started picking with my own fiction, spending probably about 20 years before I got published.
Do you actually use some of your own experiences, though, in travel when you write a book of all these places, like China, or I guess you've probably been there, right? You can kind of put some of the accuracy there?
Yeah, location research, yeah. It really helps me with the writing, and I did go to Hong Kong where this book takes place primarily, and Beijing. And for other Gray Man books, I've been to Russia and China and Mexico and dozens of other places. It helps me put the story together and to really get the feel for the area.
And all your books have the great military spy technology and all that. I guess that's kind of fun for you. I guess you must have to do some research on that too, or can you make a lot of it up?
I do as much research as I can, as time allows and as my expenses allow. But yeah, I own a lot of the firearms that I use in the books, and I train with them pretty regularly. And I have a lot of contacts in military or ex-military intelligence services, former intelligence officers. So I do some of it by books and some of it by phone calls and going around and meeting people, and I do a lot of it by staying in the bunkhouse or the team room and shooting with guys in law enforcement or military and getting the training that way. It all comes together.
Do you don't have to, obviously don't mention them, but do you have sources in the military or even in intelligence that you can call and say, hey, I'm writing this particular plot line. Is this kind of close? Do you ever do something like that?
Yeah, I do a lot of that, and it's gotten bigger and bigger throughout the years, especially after having worked with Tom Clancy, because that's a good calling card for you that opens a lot of doors, and so now there's a lot of people, and I'll just go to them and tell them what I'm working on. Just a week and a half ago, I was in Germany meeting with a retired German general about another book I'm working on. So it's a fun aspect of the work.
When you have a character, like you said, the sixth time you've written Court Gentry, has he changed a lot since you first created him? I guess he must evolve, right?
Yeah, he has evolved, and I've evolved as a writer. He's evolved as a character, and I want to give longtime readers of the series something with each book. So there is this longer story arc with him where he's developed and his roles changed. So I don't want to write the same book over and over again. But at the same time, as I said before, if you just pick up this book, you get right into the action, and you don't feel like you're missing a lot of backstory. But if you finish this book and you really enjoyed it, you could go back and pick up earlier ones and see the genesis of this guy and how he's turned into the operative that he is here in book 6.
And then, obviously, these are fiction books, but I'm sure you keep up to date as much as you can on what's going on in the real world with national security. Did you follow that pretty closely?
I do. It helps with the books. I mean, it's always just an interest of mine in the first place, and I like to get things as real world as possible before jumping off into the fun and the fiction of it all.
Yeah, you have to create an entertaining story, but also you want to be accurate with the technology and what's going on, so that makes it more realistic. Are you working on the idea for the next one already?
Yeah, I'm on the 7th book right now. It's like I'm going around, I'm doing the tour for the 6th book, and my brain is deep into the next year's novel. It's called Weaponized, and it has the Gray Man in Europe and in Syria. And so I was just in Europe for the past few weeks. I have not been to Syria and probably will not go for this book. But yeah, so I expect that to come out about this time next year.
Is Syria not exactly the great vacation spot right now, is it?
It doesn't look like it would be. I don't think I'd have a great time.
Well, again, this one is called Gunmetal Gray, and part of the Gray Man series. And we've been talking with Mark Greaney today. And Mark, give out your website once again. People get more information about you and the book.
Yeah, it's Mark Greaney Books, and it's Greaney is how you pronounce my last name, books.com, and you can see everything about all 15 of my books there.
Great. Mark, pleasure talking to you. I know you're on a busy book tour, but please keep in touch. We'll have you on when the next one comes out. But thanks for joining us today.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate being on. Thank you.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.